Okay, back on it then. Another quick checkup just to see what's going on. Bodywork is away, getting lacquered, which is fantastic. Well, I hope it's fantastic. Front mudguard is on, fitted, new bolts. Lovely. So that looks nice and neat now. So that's done. We capped off this end. Nice bar end on this one. And we capped off the mirror so it looks nice and neat. And it does look neat as well, so that's pretty cool. The madness of the rear wiring is ongoing. Really? This is all indicator. It's such a waste of time. Trouble is, I'm in it now. I can't not do it. But if it mucks around much more, I'm just going to get some big old indicators and bolt them on the side of the thing. Okay, that's done, that's done, that's done. My list of things to be done is actually growing rather than getting smaller, so I keep thinking of other things and add them to the list, but I've crossed a few things off. My plan was to try and, every evening, try and cross off something off of the list. And I'm doing okay, but every time I cross something off, I add another 2 things on, so it's getting longer rather than shorter at the minute. But, you know, eventually we're going to get there, aren't we? But someone reminded me the other day then, you know, it says a lot of ums in this. It's because we're on a mixture of Foster's and red wine at the minute. And we're in a good place for working on a bike, to be fair. Don't know how well the work's going to be done, but we're feeling good. But someone reminded me the other day that I hadn't shown you the issues with the rear suspension. So I talked about the mistake we made with it, but I never actually told you what it was. So I'm going to try and explain it to you now. So I need a bit of paper. Bear with me. I'll find a bit of paper and we'll try and figure this out. Okay then, problems with suspension. There were 2 problems with the suspension. If you remember right back at the very beginning, now I made a tube like so, and then into this tube, how high can we go? Up to there, okay. Into this tube we screwed the bit that holds the rear shock. Okay, on this tube there was a lock nut. Like so. Okay, and then the thread in here, what I did is I welded 2 inserts in here. 1, 2, like that, and I welded them in into this tube. Now if you think about this, and I thought about this, when this bit screws in to the threaded inserts, these 2, it's fine, it all works fine. But when you pull a lock nut down and you just nip it up, you're actually stressing, pulling these 2 bits upwards, if you see what I mean. And I thought about it and I thought, well, I wonder what would happen if I put a bit of force on this, whether or not it would, oh, excuse me, it would pull these 2 up. And so I tried it. So I put a bit of excess force on tightening down this nut, and it did exactly that. It pulled these 2 threaded inserts out. So there was no strength there. There wasn't enough strength for it. So we had to change that. And the other problem then, at the same time, was, and this might be, let's have a look and see. This is my swinging arm. Pivot at the back, oh no, sorry, pivot at the back, wheel at the back, pivot here. Okay, so this is the pivot on the bike. Now I calculated the perfect point here although it's up here, isn't it? But same thing. For the shock absorber movement, if you remember, all of the way back then. What I didn't take into account is the distance it was between there and there. Now, the closer you get from there to there, the pivot to where the shock mounts, the more force there is acting on the swinging arm when it goes up, which means it's easier for it to overcome the shock, the spring on the shock absorber. And I found with it mounted there, actually it was too soft in a way that the force was too great, and it managed to overcome the spring. If that makes sense. Now, the way the fix really should have been to get a stronger spring, really, because this was actually bolted in exactly the right place. But an easier fix is just to move it slightly further down the swinging arm here, and then there's less force working on it, and so the spring works better. Now, the downside to that was the angle, because it was the angle I was talking about right at the beginning, wasn't it? I had the perfect angle, whereas now I don't have the perfect angle. So what I have done then to overcome this and to overcome that, I have, go back to where we are, I have my tube right back at the very beginning, like so. I've taken out the threaded inserts and I've inserted another bit, which is this is one piece, like so, inside the original tube, perfect fit. I've had it professionally welded around here, so it fits in there great, and I've threaded it down inside. Okay, so now we don't have the problem with it pulling out because I'm tightening down directly onto the top of this bit so that there's nothing for it to pull out. It's welded to this properly, which is great, so it's solid welded, and I've added an inch to it as well. Now bear in mind, I have adjustment on my threaded bit coming out anyway, don't I? So I can move up and down a little bit, but I've added myself an inch to the overall range of adjustment that I have. Okay, I hope that explains it. It's probably quite a long-winded way around it, but if you look at the bike, let's have a look and see what we've done. So here's the original tube down here, and so then this bit here is the bit that I've had welded on. Okay, so I've got to paint it again, just to because obviously where it's been painted and everything else. But now I can tighten this down as much as I like. It won't make any odds. I've got myself more adjustment going up, and it works great. If you know, from a tension point of view, it's fantastic. So they were the issues. That was the way that we overcame it. You know, I haven't looked at this rear suspension for a long time. I've had my head in other things. It is still a bloody good looking set of rear suspension, isn't it? I honestly think, I think I've been looking at a few others now. I've been sort of like paying more attention to what other people are building and that kind of stuff. And I have to say, I love this setup. I think it's awesome. I think, you know, I am partially drunk at the minute, but I think it is one of the better looking ones, that's for sure.
Xavier wants to give himself extensive cancer.
Unlike that, that's not one of the better looking ones.
What?
Hey, you've been roasted on video, on YouTube.
That was a sick
on
burn,
YouTube.
Daddy! What did you just do? That was crazy!
Okay, anyway, signing out. We'll
Peace out.
say hello.
I don't want to. Dad, stop. No, don't put that. Please don't put that in.
It's going on.
Nah.
It is going on.
Nah.
Anyway, as I was saying, that was the problem. That was the way we went around it. And yeah, I'll speak to you soon. When the bodywork comes back, we'll be back on it again.